So Norwood, tell me about what's been going on with Fishbone. And how long you guys been together?
Well, the completion, like all of the original band members were together in the year of '79.
Wow.
So we were 14.
Wow.
Basically a 14-year-old, the bulk of us.
Wow.
So, and we took on the name Fishbone in '83.
And why did you pick that?
Well, because we had shitty names before that. So it worked out. It was my younger brother's nickname, you know. So the Brian O'Neill from the Bus Boys and our original manager suggested that we change the name, and fortunately we listened.
Yeah, who drew the iconic Fishbone logo?
That ultimately, the logo came from David Kahn. He did it on his computer.
Yeah.
And he just gave it to us.
That was nice. Wow, because that is an iconic.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it.
I didn't really realize it until people started really impressing upon me that it was like, you know, Coca-Cola. I don't think it's like Coca-Cola.
No, but it's kind of like the Rolling Stones' lips. I mean, everyone knows the Fishbone logo.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's cool. I mean, that's important when you're creating a band that has momentum and then, you know, sticking.
Some worked. It worked out.
Yeah, merch is very helpful in paying for extra bills. You know what I'm saying? So it's great that you guys had a great logo and a great iconic image for people. I mean, I see this T-shirt still, and I know Spike Lee had it. But didn't he put it in the movie? Wasn't it in She's Gotta Have It or something?
I don't know.
I think Spike Lee was a huge fan of Fishbone and also used it in some of his movies.
I don't think it was in She's Gotta Have It,
but the other one.
Spike Lee ultimately directed Son of Saturday video.
Right.
Right. His brother Sankey Lee did all the heavy lifting, but it was still, you know.
Right. It was in one of his movies, I'm sure. I think. I feel like I've seen it in some of his movies. Maybe the one, the college one. Who the hell knows? But anyway, let's talk about Fishbone. You have a new You're working on a new album?
Yeah, we're working on new music.
Right. When do you think that album's coming out?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a good answer. But
we're writing and we started recording, and there was a COVID scare. There was, you know, push and pull with producer, push and pull in the band, slowed things down. We've been doing a lot of rehearsing. We're going to go back and re-record everything, not everything, I hope, a couple things that we did. And then, you know, beginning to dabble in next material. You know, maybe put out an EP, 6 songs is the ultimate, but if you see a couple songs come beforehand, it'll be okay. We got Fat Mike from NoFX producing, and you know, the intention is to put it out on Fat Records, which is super, I feel like that's the super appropriate label for us, you know.
Cool. What do you think? I never listened to radio, but I was listening to radio today, and they were talking about concerts are back. So is there any talk of Fishbone?
Yeah, we've been getting offers. We took a couple, and there's more coming.
When's the first Fishbone?
We're going to Arizona, do a show with Ozo Motley at the end of this month.
Cool.
And you know, we got some things in September in the Midwest that are forming.
A lot of famous concert venues have suffered greatly, like the Troubadour. Is there any talk of Fishbone playing there again?
No, there is no talk of Fishbone playing the Troubadour. I've had a lot of good times in the Troubadour. I actually, and have had, yeah, I have fucking played it a couple times, Fishbone Trio, whatever. But no, that's not, right now, we got a festival that we're playing in LA, in the LA area, in San Pedro in September. And I don't give a fuck to play somebody's indoor club.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
It's really not attractive to me.
I got you.
Until you know, I'm fully vaccinated and I feel good about me, but I don't know what my audience is going to be like. You know what I mean? And I'm still got this thing about, you know, young people might do well, but I hate for somebody to take it home to their grandmother. You know, like that will fuck with me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed the UFC just had a full-on, I mean, it was a full-on event in, I think, Tallahassee, Florida recently. I didn't see any of those people wearing masks. I don't know if all of them were vaccinated, but they were all like right next to each other. And I know that the UFC, Dana White's close to Trump and all this other stuff, but they've really pushed, just never really stopping, trying to work around what they call safe. But the head of the UFC, Dana White, I never saw him wear a mask ever, even before there was a vaccine. So I think it's fascinating. Parts of the country, they're just saying, we want business, we don't care. And there are some, I guess, rules, but I don't know if they made sure everybody was vaccinated that went to that event or not. I don't have no idea.
Fucking Florida.
Yeah, that's
right?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? They don't give a fuck. You can guess what the fuck it was. It was like, no, they don't care. There's a lot of people, so, I'm just, but you know what? I did shows with Beebs in Florida, and it was actually, she requested social distancing, masks, and everything we did was outdoors, and people respected her wishes, and it was cool. It was, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne, and Orlando areas. So, if you ask, people seem to be respectful. I got friends that traveled to the south of Florida. Well, that was kind of sound like they off the Chizang.
They are.
And,
they were doing whatever. They had a spring break. It was like that. They acted like it was 1999 to quote Prince. It was very shocking.
Yeah. So I think it's unfortunate for the people who suffer greatly and die. But I was there. I kept my mask on and stayed distant as possible from people who looked like they didn't give a fuck, and I was okay. It's the world is a bastion of joys, beauty, and great suffering and death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the realm that we're in.
Right.
And I'm like, those of us who are mindful want to reduce the suffering and death. And some people don't give a fuck.
Florida and Texas has gone to something that I don't even know. They're just on a whole nother Alex Jones rabbit hole of Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I came up with a term earlier today because I've been just trying to distinguish what the fuck it is.
What happened to Texas? Remember how cool Texas used to be, Austin?
Texas wasn't never that fucking cool.
Austin was.
Okay, yeah.
For a second,
they call it an oasis, right? Austin.
It used to be.
Yeah, like fuck,
I like the Tex-Mex and the barbecue and the great music.
the great American sociopathic compulsion, right? Is actually, you know, is never gone away. The country is built on it, right?
Right.
So that's why 51 million native peoples isn't called a fucking a Holocaust.
Right.
Why people can say, you know, there's people make statements like there was something good about slavery, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, yeah, at least you're here, not in Africa. Fuck you.
Or they say, I was told on Twitter because I made a joke about moving to Iceland when Trump was still in office, doing his craziness and not caring about COVID. I literally was told, go back to Africa. And I'm like, I will go back to Africa. Tell me where I'm from and give me a plane ticket.
Right.
But it's so funny how people got offended because I was like, Iceland's clean. And they treat women with respect, and they have a lot of women in power, and they have mountains and lakes and hot springs. Why wouldn't anyone want to go? You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's really interesting. Certain people hate us, but they want to control where we go, or have a comment on where we go, or where we want to go. Like, you're supposed to love your rapist. You know what I mean? It's just very strange.
Oh yeah, that's a part of the great American sociopathic compulsion, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if John Wayne can say we stole this country fair and square, right? And you know, I ain't got nothing against Woody Guthrie, or you know, but you know, was it Woody Guthrie? This land is our land.
I don't know. You can Google it.
Let me Google that, because I don't want to put nothing bad on the brother's name. Okay.
You're talking about Willie Guthrie, was it him?
Guthrie. So yeah, Woody Guthrie did write that song, and just you know, like California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas were seized.
And California.
I said California.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. I my brain is...
They were seized.
Right.
So imagine, you know, you're Mexican American and you grow up and you sing "This land is our land," right?
It ain't your... Well, yeah.
Yeah. Imagine, like, you know, like at some point you got to undetangle all this
Brainwashing.
Yeah. So, you know, and what that must feel like as being Black Americans, we're far removed from. But there are people who like live here who like, yeah, my ancestors, this was our land.
Right.
Like,
and they go back to Mexico. It's like, motherfucker, you're in Mexico. You just don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, life is weird,
You know,
man.
And yeah, and I guess you know that it's a well marketed, propagandized thing, but it is the great American sociopathic compulsion. And I was like, you know, it's kind of like if you take Silence of the Lambs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Hannibal Lecter, like the fascination with
Serial killers. Yeah.
It makes sense to me now. Like, I didn't get it when I was a kid.
No, but
You know?
the thing, I hate to say this because I've said it on Twitter before I was blocked. That sociopathy is in the DNA. If you've gotten away with murder and rape and control and genocide with immunity, how are you gonna stop? You know what I'm saying? It's like you're used to that power, so why would you ever let it go? And I think that's what we saw over the last
January 6th.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And it's, you know, it's that. So one, you know, it makes sense to me that, you know, it didn't take now for me to see the pattern with the push for a permanent white rule through the Republican Party,
right,
through gerrymandering and you know, political fuckery, right? Like
right,
cheating,
right,
ultimately, to create like a permanent white conservative rule.
Yeah, and it was so obvious. They were so blatant. They were.
Yeah, but it didn't take for Trump to become president. I began to see the pattern, and it began to make sense because, like, you know, in the 90s or maybe the 80s or some shit, like, you know, like stumbled on the information that it was supposed to be 2024 where white people would become the minority.
Right.
Well, that day got pushed back, and you know, whatever. Like, but when I stumbled, it had to be in the 90s. Whenever I stumbled on that as like a potentiality of information, so it makes sense to me that if you're running shit, you want to keep running shit.
Right.
And you see that as like, you know, like, yeah, this land is, you know, when people make a statement like this is a white land, and so they run with that, and of course, so they're gonna do by any means that they can imagine,
right?
And so now they're past looking good, right? Like now it's in the like, no, we're gonna get ugly about this shit,
yeah,
you know, and so, you know, the thing is when you have, you know, politicians and people who I could look and see these motherfuckers know better, you know?
Yeah, but it's like it's so out in the open. It's like being a rapist and just like raping people on the street and acting like it's normal, but it's almost like it's a flip of slavery. In other words, they did that. It was normal for them to rape people and kill people in front of other people, and then have children with, you know, enslaved people, and then having the wife, you know, have to have that person be a slave in the house, and the wife hate the husband and abuse the slave. But the point is that it was just that craziness was so normal, and then it was repressed and supposedly civilized, and now it just like vomited all out. Like it was like a reverse. All those people, Matt Gaetz, Trump, William Barr.
Exactly.
The turtle dude, McConnell.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just like, they're so evil and they're just so okay with it. It's just like, wow.
The sociopath.
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter for president.
But see, but that's also the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry loves to push serial killers, rapists, girls.
It's only a reflection of, you know, the teachings of mother culture.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all, and that's all any of us ever do, is like we're fed all this stuff, and then, you know, there's people try to figure it out and they rebel, right? Rock and roll is a spirit of rebellion, but you're kind of trapped. Right. Because there's not enough information about what else is possible, right? So you know, it's no wonder that people think like, we saved you from Africa, right? But, you know, can you imagine, like, without capitalism, without these structures, maybe no one was fucking hungry.
Right. But Africa wasn't that bad before they came. I know, but I'm just saying, I know, but what I'm trying to say is they don't teach that, though.
Yeah, no, because they can't imagine it. That's what I'm saying. They cannot imagine that you're in the people occupying a place. You know, like, I just saw a picture of like just a pile of dead buffalo. Yeah. Right? Because they fucking eradicated buffalo to starve the Indians. Right. These motherfucking Native Americans wasn't sitting around hungry. Yeah. There was no poverty. Right.
But see,
Poverty
but
is
the
a construct
yeah.
of capitalism.
Right. But the other thing is that they act like they keep showing you the pictures of the poor African children.
They created
I know,
situation.
but then they act like they're the savior. It's like, is it called Munchausen syndrome? It's insanity. You know what I mean? I try to just focus on creating art and then calling truth to bullshit, but it's just like people are clueless and they're asleep and they're on their phone and they're not conscious.
Yeah, well, we'll never, you know, there's a world that we'll never know because we're locked and loaded in the reality that we live in, right?
Right.
But I actually, you know, like I travel enough, and that's the thing is like in the middle of when universal health care was a possibility, when Barack Obama was pushing it. And they were arguing that America has the best health system in the world. Like, I had a fucking insane staph infection.
Wow.
Right? No health, but no health insurance. Right? So, and I didn't realize what it was, and I'm fucking probably closer to death than I even knew. You know, and I ended up going to County USC, and I walked into the fucking waiting room on a Monday thinking I was going to avoid all the stab victim and bullet wound motherfuckers from the weekend. I'll go at 9 o'clock at night on a Monday.
Right.
Sure, they'll be done with it. I had never been in a waiting room at County USC. I went, this motherfucker, I never seen so much suffering.
Oh my.
It was packed to the gills.
I know that place. If you're talking about where I think you're talking about, it scared the hell out of me. I was there once. I was like, no. You know what I mean? It's.
But I've been to the doctor in France,
right,
in Denmark,
right,
in Switzerland,
right,
like places where there's socialized medicine.
Right.
One, I'm on tour, and my tour manager goes, take my social security number,
right,
blah 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 blah, and you know,
yeah,
and like nobody asked questions. I saw a doctor, saw a dentist, got my teeth worked on in Denmark. It was the best dental fucking care I ever had.
Really?
It was like,
oh my God, I gotta move to Denmark.
I'm like, you know, and I'm like, I guess, you know, and I had like, you know, my record label owners in France will go like, yeah, people in France, yeah, we pay 33% tax. It's, you know, flat,
right?
Whatever. But you know what? If my kid gets sick, they go to the fucking doctor.
Right.
You know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
With French people are happy to pay it because
they're taken care of.
Yeah. I got a young bass student who his family's Persian. They lived in Reno, and during the last year, his father was like, "Yo, America's crazy. It's dangerous." Packed up and moved his family to Bern, Switzerland.
Wow.
Right? And, you know, so once they got settled and I'm doing bass lessons, I do them on Skype, right? And I'm like, yo, how's it there with COVID? He's like, well, you know.
All right, you were saying?
So anyway, my student, I asked him how was Switzerland dealing with COVID? Like, and he's like, one, people wear masks because they don't distrust the government because the government takes care of the population.
Interesting. Right? Yeah. Oh, wow.
And,
that's a big statement on itself right there.
Yeah. And so yeah, and there's an uptick in all of Switzerland. There's, you know, under 250 cases. They call that an uptick. We're going in lockdown again.
You can't make me laugh because it'll make the camera shake.
You know, and this was in like, you know, like, it had to be in October or something.
Wow.
Like that, right? Like it was fucking raging full on here.
Right. But it's also about respect. Like, people just being kind and decent. Just wear a fucking mask. You know what I mean? Like, America was like, men were like, you're trying to control me. I don't have to wear a mask. You can't make me wear a mask. It's like, you're not a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's, the psychology of that is one, you know, self-entitled bullshit is, you know, one, and made to distrust
the government,
science,
right,
and the government in a way that's ridiculous. It's like, one, like, you know, like the first time I went to Japan was in like 86, I think. I thought it was 87, but somebody just showed me a video of my band in Japan in 86. And you know what? We got there in 86 and people were wearing masks.
Yeah.
Not everybody.
Right, but yeah.
It was people running around in masks.
Right, because a lot of them smoke and stuff. Wasn't the air quality bad?
It's not even that.
Really? What was it?
It could be some people like that, but no, that wasn't it. Because after being there for a few days, I wondering like, what the fuck is going on with these people with these surgical masks? I asked, and the answer was, people wear masks to keep their germs to themselves.
Wow.
Because if someone gets on a subway at rush hour, they could take out a gigantic section of the workforce.
I mean, that is
very
true.
Quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
The answer I got.
That's in 89?
1986.
Wow. Shit.
Right?
Yeah.
It was people being responsible.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it was people, you know, like it was, like again, if it was, you know, 3% of the people, 4% of people on the streets with masks on, you know, like that's not a shit ton, but that may be the people who could have passed some shit on.
No, that's awesome.
So when the idea of wearing masks here came around, I thought about
1989 or 86.
Japan.
Right.
You know. And oh yeah, they did. That's how you don't get people sick.
Right. I mean, people hear a cough without covering their mouths. They spit on the street. It's just like we've lost a lot of manners.
So people who travel know this.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
There's politicians that travel and they understand this, but they spit politicized rhetoric that has nothing to do with reality.
Right.
You know?
Because it gets their agenda pushed.
Yeah. So, you know, like, so people who are undereducated,
right.
Or not everybody that believes that shit is undereducated. There's some highly educated people who just down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Right? That did not get it. And it's like, you know what? I just read something that said Gibraltar is like got a super high. The country of Gibraltar has like a super high percentage of population, like almost all of them, like in the 96 to 98 percentile of the population, adult population is vaccinated. And I'm just like, okay, now what conspiracy theory do you spin to say what's going to happen to those people? Why did their government, you know, what is their government going to do with that? Like, you know what I mean? It's you know, if over the weekend it was like 71% of San Francisco is vaccinated.
Wow.
You know, it's like I'm going to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I'm still like I'm talking to people, I'm like, didn't you learn about fucking polio and smallpox when you was a kid?
But not only that, was it the Spanish flu, and then also no, but what I'm saying is they wore a mask, and also the Black Plague, they wore a mask.
But it was the same argument.
All I'm saying is
the same arguments existed then.
But people wore masks. They have illustrations with people wearing masks.
Right.
From, you know, and I say to people, they were smart enough to wear masks back then.
Yeah,
even
but back then, some people. That's my point. Not everybody. And the same arguments against existed.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is like, it's in historic books. It's in, I mean, it's not like someone just pulled it out of their hat. They know that. Even in the Bible, when people had leprosy and stuff, people around them wore things to cover their face. But it's also interesting, Muslims, you know, devout Muslims wear the burqa or whatever. And that, I mean, there's certain things that people didn't understand why they did it, but it kind of helped cut down the risk of COVID by covering your face. You know what I'm saying? So there was it's just interesting how life works, is whether we actually learn from history or we try to act like we're above it.
Well, let's say people aren't even learning from right now. You can't fucking look at New Zealand and get a clue.
Right, New Zealand cut that shit. Yeah, they're open. They've been open for how long?
And we can't go there.
No, I wouldn't want us there either.
Actually, my dude from, he's right there still.
Wow.
Al Anderson, like December of last year we were talking, and he's like, no, December, January, whatever. They got an offer. They got an offer to play New Zealand as lockdown was coming down here, right? And so I was like, yeah, they doing okay. Maybe we'll be able to work there too. And then they're like, nah, you American, you can't come.
No, because you got no sense. America's got no sense.
You can't bring that shit over.
Yeah, I know. And it's a female leader. Yay!
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, it's fucking New Zealand, South Korea, and I don't remember where else. There's several countries that handled it really well.
Right, but they had educated people that believe. No,
kind of draconian.
Right, but all I'm saying is that people who know science. America is very lax in the scientific field. Like in school, they're not really taught deductive reasoning and how to appreciate science, and having teachers that present it in a different way for people to get. You know what I mean? So I just think we've had too many decades of reality TV show. Of course, but reality TV shows make people stupid. And you know, they just
stupid before reality.
But it made them even more stupid. You know what I mean? Being stupid is cute. You know, I mean, that's what women are taught. Being like vapid and stupid will get you a man.
Well, actually, if you're too smart, you can't be cool.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like, right. And that is. But look, we live in a time where all of that began to change, right? Like actually, right? Like that whole, like, actually the I'm forgetting what it would be called, like the computer revolution, right? Like .com and all of that shit made fucking, you know, multimillionaires and billionaires out of fucking nerds. Nerds became rock stars.
Yeah, but nerds who are also psychopathic.
Well, everybody's psychopath.
Right, but
who the fuck is healthy?
Well, I don't know if I'm like Mark Zuckerberg who created Facebook to like spy because
a child that stumbled into something.
No, but what I'm saying, it started because he liked this chick. She dumped him, so he started an app that was like, who's hotter. So it became this whole control thing. Now he has control over so much information.
Yeah, but again, who's healthy? It's like we live in a sick society.
That is true.
It's like.
But I think there's gradations of health.
Yeah, there is, and I don't claim to be sane. I don't know if I'm healthy or not. You know what I mean? Like, everybody got a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I like looking at good-looking guys at the beach. That's my thing.
Yeah, that sounds healthy to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Norwood. I feel better about myself now. Yeah.
So you know, but it's like. What I believe is just, you know, like the tech realm, the tech revolution, it's just a bunch of young rich people, and they just doing what young rich people might do. They don't understand societal responsibility. You gotta age to understand giving back. It's like it's kind of fucked up when you go, people like they moving into Venice and not giving a fuck about the neighborhood.
Right.
And that's why gentrification doesn't have to be the problem that it is, but it goes with youth, I believe. But youth presently is becoming, I believe, more responsible to everything because the youth can see that their time may be cut short because our generation didn't do their job well.
Right.
So things are changing. I as much as I can sit up and point out whatever the fuck I don't necessarily agree with, deep at the base of my shit is actually a belief is that all of everything is going towards a better place.
I agree, and I hope so. And I see a lot of wonderful change, the way people interact at the beach, and how people care about certain things. Yes, I concur. There's a lot of stuff to freak yourself out about, but there's also a lot of good. So it's like you focus on, you try to build more of that good vibration. That sounds so California and hippie, but it's true.
They had a good idea.
Yeah, but as you change,
imagine.
I'm just saying, as you change your vibration, you affect other people who change their vibration. So one person can make a difference, a huge difference.
Yeah, like we live in the evidence of that, right?
Yeah.
Like imagine in the 50s, the yippies, right? The pre-hippie yippies and Jack LaLanne, right?
Right.
Jack LaLanne is going, this health kick it's a good thing, like, hey,
right.
And he created jumping jacks.
Right, and then Bruce Lee in the 60s.
But he said, Jack LaLanne actually said, he didn't like all the additives in food. He was like, don't eat anything with more than 4 ingredients. Don't eat anything where you can't pronounce the ingredients.
Wow. Right? And that was in late 50s?
It was in the 50s.
Yeah.
And the yippies were like, no, we got to take it back to nature and from the ground and da-da-da-da-da. Together, those concepts give us whole foods.
Air One. Yeah. You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it started then, that concept
right.
of, like what should, like organic eating, what that was seeded then.
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
But what really flipped me into like the trajectory of everything is going toward the good is because I was talking to my son, and this is back, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner,
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was getting killed in that time. That was unarmed.
Yeah.
It was, there's been a bunch since this conversation, right? But so like my son lives in Santa Rosa. He was raised in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he's raised in Hawaii, and he didn't have to be really black aware of his blackness.
Right.
Hawaii didn't give a fuck about it.
Right.
So, but after a few unarmed people got killed, he called me one day. He's like, "Dad, I'm scared for my life."
Right.
And he's like, "What the fuck is this?" And he's like, white women are clutching their purse and crossing the street. He's like, like they're afraid of me. He's like, I'm the most passive person you want to know.
Right.
He's like a ultra smarty pants nerdy
Right.
dude.
Right.
I think he's cool as fuck, but
Right.
you know what I mean? Like he's like a super, you know, intelligent guy, and he's not, you know. So anyway, he's freaking out because people are getting killed unarmed, and and they look like him.
Right.
And white people are scared of him all of a sudden. And so, and I'm like, oh, okay, you connected to your blackness, right on. And yeah, so we had several conversations. At one point, I'm like, you know, like when I was a kid, you know, like growing up in the 70s into the 80s, like everybody knew that, you know, the police fucked black people up.
Right.
They rode hard on blacks and Mexicans, and you know, I didn't have guns to my head, my chest, you know, front, back, side of my head, all by police. Like I grew up in gang-related Los Angeles. I never had a gangster pull a gun on me.
Right.
You know, and that might be my luck. I know plenty of people who have. But, you know, I've been humiliated, you know, threatened by the police, right? But anyway, not about me, about like the situation is like, you know, you knew police could kill you, could take you to jail for no reason, could, you know, you lived with this. Police started fucking with me when I was 11. You know, I ain't did shit. I wasn't a gangster. You know, never. So.
But it's that programming. They want to program you into being.
So, you know, I'm going like, yeah, like I'm thinking that like things are no worse than they ever were.
Right.
The only thing is like we got cell phones and people are capturing shit.
Right.
Not unlike Rodney King, where there's a video camera that captured something that had never been witnessed nationwide at once.
Right.
And my son was like, he's like, you're right. He's like, police are not more violent right now than they ever were. In fact, he had the data.
I love your son already. He brought it up with the data.
He had the data. He was like, police, abusive police practices were worse, far worse in the 70s and the 80s.
Wow.
They were worse in the 70s than the 80s. And it's been progressively getting better. We live in a better time. Imagine that.
Yeah, but to say that to the parents of all those kids killed, yeah.
Yeah, no, like, you know, I feel that pain. Every motherfucker that's killed, I'm like, that could be me.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah.
At any time.
Right.
I'm not immune.
Yeah.
You know? I live in Santa Monica, SMPD might not fuck with me like that. But if I go inland,
right,
you know,
right,
I could easily have them problems.
Right.
So, you know, I traveled around America. I walked everywhere I was at. I walked like I belonged. And,
right.
You know, somewhere in the Obama era, I began to realize, like, I might have been foolish in some of them places that I was walking like I belonged.
Right.
Like I said, there's a motherfucker that didn't want me there.
Right.
You know?
So anyway, I mean, let's leave it on the uplifting part of it. But we are aware of...
Yeah.
We're aware.
Again, my ultimate point is, and actually, he went further, right? Actually, violence worldwide is on a downward trajectory.
Okay. Wow.
Less war. And
wow.
You know what? The fucking post-World War II, Europe actually going like, maybe it's not a good idea if we fight each other.
Right.
Had a lot to do with it. All the alliances of these nations, has a lot to do with it.
But they also killed their white population.
Yeah.
Well, by doing that, so maybe they got hip. Like, hey, if we kill each other and we're mostly white, that kills the sperm count and how many women get pregnant. So maybe we shouldn't do that.
Well, the weaponry got out of control. They're like, okay, we kind of reached the point where, like, yeah, we could really fuck shit up, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you really,
I hear what you're saying, but they didn't give a fuck. It was like, it's actually about atomic bombs, hydrogen, atomic, and whatever else.
No, I know, but I'm saying the ones that are like worried about the population being decimated has to realize that the ones in power, they helped decimate the population by having those world wars that killed like millions and millions of mostly Caucasian people.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That you got less.
I'm sure somebody did the math on that, but that wasn't the prevailing.
I know. I'm just saying that's another thing they should thought about.
Yeah.
If you want more white people, you got to quit killing each other and having wars.
That's like that whole, like that's the wild thing, like the anti-abortion movement, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this took me going to see Farrakhan in the '80s, like, you know, because they was, like, you know, they were saying that he said a bunch of crazy shit. That, you know, if he said it, would have been fucked up. So I went to go see him. I was like, let me see for myself. And like he didn't say none of that shit. Like nothing that I heard was out of line. But ultimately where I'm going is what he was saying was he pointed out like the anti-abortion movement was not about black and Latino people. He's like, it's about the white population, because white women entered into the workforce and they started having babies later or not having babies at all.
Right.
So, but he said, like, if you go to the projects, you see 16, 17-year-old pregnant girls running around. Ain't no birth control ain't stopping black and brown babies.
No, I know that.
So you know what I mean? So that was, somebody thought that through, you know, and made that an issue, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying how they think. They worry about their population being decimated, but yet they decimate their own population. But anyway, everybody left. Now there's a perfect spot. But yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Norwood. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, buy my record.
What's your website? You have your own website?
I got a couple.
All right, but which one do you want to plug?
I'm not doing well at any of them.
Well, maybe that's why you need to plug it.
Okay, well, no. Like, I don't manage them well, but I'll talk about them anyway.
Tell me your sites.
Yep, so you can look for me at Norwood Lessons for my bass lessons.
.com?
Yeah, NorwoodLessons.com.
Uh-huh.
You can find, if you want some bass lessons, I got something for that ass. And TrulyODisgracious.com.
Right.
And you can, of course, Fishbone.net.
Right.
I am Woody Woodstraw on Instagram. There's a Truly OD on Instagram. There is, find me at Woody Woodstraw on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And that's about it.
Hey, let me ask you a question on the top of my head while I was thinking about it, because you mentioned Twitter, because we used to, I followed you, you followed me on Twitter, but I got, blocked because I outed some of the insurrectionist people that broke the law, that lived in...
Insurrectionists.
Yeah, but I wanted a stronger word. Felony, crossing straight lines to commit terrorism. But a lot of them are out on bail or bond or whatever, and some of them, like one's a hairdresser and the OC, and other one's an esthetician in Beverly Hills. They're walking around free. I was just curious, do you think I should, for the sake of money, go back on Twitter, erase that guy's work address, posted online so I can get back on Twitter, or do you think I should just walk away permanently?
I don't know. Twitter did a lifetime ban on Trump. They got some moral compass.
Yeah, but mine was I just put his work address because he put it. It was on Yelp. I don't understand why they came in my ass. I don't know if I'm gonna write them. I've been using the time that I would have spent on Twitter designing stuff or working on my side businesses. So on one hand, it's been good, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm losing that. There's something I got out of Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? If you've, it's like, scales balance on what would serve your cause more, you know?
Well, I was hoping I was hoping for a court date. Like once he got a court date and once he got like penalized, I'd be happy to delete his address. But that hasn't happened yet. He's still, like nothing's going on. You can still get a hair appointment from this guy in Huntington Beach.
Yes. You know what? Imagine being in the shoes of the Central Park Five and then Donald Trump posts your address on Twitter.
Yeah, but it was his business address. It was already on it.
No.
Yeah.
You potentially elicit
Violence.
Yeah, like so.
I got what you're saying. However,
So they may feel like as to not be like maybe they would do that for anybody until proven guilty or whatever. But
it was information that was on like his like he's still on Facebook and Instagram, by the way, this guy.
yeah,
He's not, there's no penalty for what he did. That's the point.
yeah, but like I don't give a fuck. But I'm just saying, as a business, maybe they're like, if somebody enacts vigilante justice.
Oh, wow, you just made me realize. I see what you're saying. Yeah, but you
probably won't be in trouble, but somebody may go after Twitter.
Interesting. All right, so they're just protecting their ass.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I thank you for your assessment, and I will take it upon consideration. But thank you so much. This has been great.
All right.
All right, cool.